Let's move on to our last topic, and that is Charles Barkley, always in the news for his comments. And he was on Inside the NBA and basically stated that he thinks NBA and NFL players should receive the COVID vaccine earlier because they pay way more taxes than the average citizen. Here's his direct quote. He said, quote, 300 million shots, give 8,000 to some NBA players, NFL players, hockey players. Listen, as much tax as these players pay, they deserve some preferential treatment. Just my thoughts real quick. I have to spend too much time on it. I don't understand his thinking. I understand. One part of me, I understand where he's coming from. At the other part, I really don't. I think because of the way this vaccine has been rolled out, the pressure should be on frontline workers and the elderly who need it first. And until that's squared away, there shouldn't be even other thoughts given it to normal citizens. And I think, to me, something like the entertainment field, I think sports is under that umbrella. And I think until we have the frontline workers, police, firemen, health, I would say teachers. I think my dad got the vaccine because he volunteers at the VA. Everybody under that umbrella, I think, should be covered first before you even talk about athletes. Very similarly to the COVID testing, right? Like, by the time the NBA was rolling it out, I believe, when did the bubble start? Like July, I would say? June?
Yeah. Yep.
June-ish.
Early July.
Mm-hmm. Early July. Okay. Like, testing was starting to be rolled out. And I think we're at least a couple of months of at least testing. And I think with the vaccine should be very similar. Once I think we're hitting that, 2 million doses per day goal, I think then we can start rolling the vaccine out to the NBA, other entertainment venues, television shows, movie sets, etc. And not only just the actors, but also the people that work on those sets as well. And I think with the NBA, it shouldn't just be the athletes getting the vaccine. It should be the strength and conditioning coaches, the regular coaches, people working concessions, etc. So everybody's covered under that umbrella. So I don't, at just his logic of this, like, them paying taxes, like Kenny Smith had a good point. You're getting to, down my line of thinking is pretty much getting to a point of, if you pay more money than somebody else, you should get preferential treatment. And that just shouldn't be the way it should work. So I strongly disagree with Charles Barkley on that statement. What do you think?
Yeah, it surprises me. I mean, Charles Barkley, he says inflammatory things from time to time. It's part of the reason we love Chuck. But this strikes me as something, a statement that he just kind of threw out there and really didn't think it through before saying it, because he has a very, kind of old school mentality. Again, part of the reason I love him. And this is a weird way of thinking. I mean, I don't have too much to add to what you said there. I think that's correct. I mean, if anything, NBA staffers should be getting the vaccine before the players. When you think of like the age of the coaches and that potentially being a risk factor, or potentially staff that is, obese. We know obesity is a very prevalent risk factor for COVID. So you would think that most likely staffers would need the vaccine in terms of like looking at this from who is at the greatest risk. Players are pretty low on that list when you consider, age range is, just to very generalize, there's older and younger, but 25 to 35 in kind of that bracket, or even go 20 to 35, let's say is kind of the average age, or even push that out to 20 to 40. Still, case would be that they're in a very, very low risk category in terms of how they're going to respond and fight off COVID. Obviously, we don't want anyone getting sick, but when we're looking at rationing this vaccine out and who needs it the most, I mean, the players are honestly pretty low on that totem pole. I do think that, having said that, I think the players are going to be vaccinated before the playoffs. I see that as a very, very real possibility, but we'll see what happens. But to your point, I agree. It should be the elderly, and then we go down in 10-year bracket intervals, and then it should be those frontline workers that are very, very highly exposed to this.
Yeah, agreed.